So you need to record voiceover at home. There's basically two things you need to think about. The first is choosing the right room. The second is making sure your mic is set up correctly. So let's talk about the room. This can be broken down into two different parts. The first is sound isolation. How good is the room at making sure that the sound that you're trying to record, your voice, is separate from the sound you're trying to avoid recording, which can be your HVAC, the fan on your computer, your kids, whatever it is. And so you need to think about what is around my room. You need to choose a quiet room, but hopefully you can choose a room that's not only quiet, but has rooms around it that are quiet as well. So try to avoid a room that's right next to a busy street, a room that's right next to your laundry room, a bathroom, whatever. Just try to think about what is around the room. So where I record, there's actually two of the four walls that back up to this actual room right here. And so that helps me make sure that I can control a lot of what's around that room. And so it's a really good recording space. Now, you can't control everything, but you can control when you record. And when you record can help with ambient sound. If you're near a road, if you record when it's not rush hour, or if you have kids recording when they're away or taking a nap, just being smart about trying to eliminate some of the X factors that you can't control. You can also turn off a lot of the things that make sound. I typically turn off my HVAC because it always just has a little bit of a noise floor when I record. And it's just an easy way that I can just plan to make my recording just that much better. And finally, if you want a really easy way to help isolate your room, think about it kind of like a glass of water. Where's the water going to leak out first? And so for most of us, that's around our doors. So you can get a rag or a cloth or something and try to shove it in the little cracks around it, and that'll help a little bit with sound escaping or coming in that you don't want. The second thing to consider when choosing a room is your room acoustics. Take a second and clap. What do you hear? Do you hear a lot of reflections? People will call it echo, but it's more like reverb. If you do, might not be the best room. Or you can treat it. Use soft material like pillows, fabric, blankets to help treat the room. And where you put it matters. So where you typically want to put it is in the first reflections of the sound, which basically means where is the sound going to bounce off first. So if I'm the source of the sound, microphone right here, and there's a wall right here, I want to treat that wall right in, behind the microphone, because my speaking is going to get to the microphone, then hit the wall, then reflect back into the microphone, and that's what creates those reflections. So typically around that microphone, on the other side of it, you want to treat that first to help with room reflections. Okay, let's talk about your microphone. If you can, use a dynamic microphone rather than a condenser. A dynamic microphone is going to be better at isolating the source of the sound from sounds that you just don't want. Examples are like the RE20, the SM58, the SM7B. These are all just good examples that if you have it, try to use that instead. If you use a condenser, that's okay. Just you need to be a little bit more careful when setting up. I know this seems obvious, but make sure you understand how your microphone picks up sound. If you have it pointed straight up rather than at the source, your mouth, your consonants might not be as crisp and it might be a little jarbled. So you can look up online and just make sure that you understand how it's picking up sound, or you can just plug in your headphones and listen for your S's, your T's, your C's to be crisp. If they don't sound super crisp, well, it might not be pointed in the right direction. How far you need to be away from your microphone is a tough thing for me to give you because each microphone is different. A good starting place would be about 5 inches, but it really just depends on the pickup pattern and dynamic condenser and etc. So start there and then move back and forth to see what the sweet spot would be. The further you are away from the microphone, the more likely you are to pick up ambient sound. So just be careful and don't be too far away from it. Now, if you're too close and just right there, your plosives are going to be way too much. I would recommend using a pop filter, and I'll link below how to make one yourself. Another thing that you can do to help with your plosives is be a little bit off axis, so making sure it's not right there, but maybe a little bit off. Or you can go like this and you can feel with your hand pa 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 versus pa pa pa. Putting this up will split the air from your mouth, and so it makes the plosive a little bit less intense. The final thing to consider is the level that you're recording at. I would shoot for about -18 dB full scale. If that doesn't mean anything to you, typically that's where green goes to yellow in your recording software. So aim for about right there. You don't want to be too loud where you might be clipping on your loud sections, and you don't want to be too quiet where you have to gain it up too much and increase your noise floor. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if I forgot anything, if this was helpful, or if you have any questions.